All right, perfect. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being patient. We have been having a technical issue. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Business Housing Zoning Committee for May 14, 2024. I'm Jamal Osman, and I'm the chair of this committee. At this time, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll so we can verify a quorum for this meeting.
Councilmember Rainville.
Present.
Cashman.
Present.
Jenkins.
Present.
Chowdhury.
Present.
Vice Chair Ellison.
Here.
Chair Osman.
Present.
There are 6 members present.
Let the record reflect we have a quorum. Today's agenda is before us. Item 8 through 20 are on the consent agenda. Item 8 is 5 liquor license approval. Item 9 is 7 liquor license renewal. Item 10 is approval of on-sale brewery tap room with Sunday sales and limited entertainment, and off-sale malt liquor with operating conditions for Brew Haven. Item 11 is approving staff direction regarding the landscape analysis of safe outdoor spaces. Item 12 is amending the reporting deadline for report back to the supplemental co-enforcement funding for legislative directive. Item 13 and 14 are ownership and opportunity fund loans for LJR Steels Company and Greek Street properties. Item 15 is affordable housing trust fund for contingency pool loan for Agate Housing. Item 16 is appropriating funds for building demolition at Kmart site. Item 17 is authorizing submittal of the 2024 through 2027 local unified plan to deed. Item 18 is authorizing a grant for Turning Point for supportive housing facilities. Item 19 is a contract amendment with MPHA for a Stable Homes, Stable Schools program. Item 20 is passage of land sale use application fee ordinance. Is there any discussion on this consent agenda? Are there any items that anyone would like to pull for further discussion? Councilmember Cashman, and then Councilmember Jenkins after that.
Thank you so much, Chair Osman. I don't need to pull any of these items for further discussion or for a separate vote, but I just wanted to share the excitement that I and other Loring Park residents have for Brew Haven opening up in the former Lakes and Legends Brewery on 14th and LaSalle. It closed in December after an 8-year run, and I've heard from the new owners here that they'll be having a new concept with a brewery, coffee bar, events, and other activities that will bring a lot of energy to LaSalle and Loring Park. So I'm excited to support their license application today and invite everyone to check out their establishment after they open up in June. Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Jenkins.
Thank you, Chair Osman. Can we hear a little bit more about items 13 and 14, the ownership and opportunity fund? I don't necessarily want to pull it, but I just want to understand who are the proprietors, et cetera, et cetera.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, council members. My name is Miles Mercer with the Department of Community Planning and Economic Development. So for these two items, they're both businesses that are operating in the city now in their spaces, and they have a chance to own the real estate that they will be operating out of. So the first, so the names, the LLCs in the actions are the names of the real estate entities that these businesses will be using to purchase the property. But the first, for the first one, item number 13, LJR Stills Company, the operating business, the name of the operating business for that borrower is called Dreadlocks for Dingoes. It is a pet care and pet grooming business that's currently in Southwest Minneapolis that will be purchasing a building in the Lynn Lake area. The second one for Creek Street Properties, that is the real estate entity. The affiliated operating business is called Roots Community Birth Center, which is currently operating in North Minneapolis on 44th Avenue and will be expanding into a building just across the street.
So it's like a doula service? Or
Doula
something?
and midwifery, labor and delivery services there.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Chowdhury.
Thank you, Chair Osman. I just wanted to very briefly speak to item number 11, which is a staff directive to our Policy and Research Division on conducting a landscape analysis of municipalities that have established a safe outdoor space. I just wanted to take this moment to share that I feel like this is a really important part of the policy work that we're about to embark in. There's an urgent need for safe, controlled environments for people who are unhoused, providing immediate refuge and access to essential services and healthcare. Additionally, there needs to be a way to keep adjacent places that are sensitive, like neighborhoods, schools, clear and accessible. And there's no denying that in the city of Minneapolis, as this council has declared, unsheltered homelessness is a public health emergency. But the question we have yet to answer is, how do we address it? I don't believe that this is a silver bullet solution, but it shouldn't stand in the way for us to seek improvement of the safety of our neighbors and the dignity of unhoused residents, creating more transitional housing opportunities and just helping people get through the continuum of care, so we can reduce the number of people who are outside. This landscape analysis, I hope, is going to provide very, very valuable information on similar initiatives in other municipalities, showcasing the effectiveness, benefits, challenges, and opportunities observed in those cases. I am optimistic that this analysis will provide valuable insight and management of these spaces should a similar program come to Minneapolis. We aren't looking for a copy and paste solution. That's why me and Councilmember Chavez and Council Vice President Chugtai are asking our policy and research team to engage with the city administration and partners to assess regulatory changes and coordinate existing services so we can look at what is the best fit for our city. I'm looking forward to hearing the report back on this landscape analysis, and I want to extend an invitation to any of my colleagues that are interested in collaborating on this work and being a part of fine-tuning what's possible so we can put all of our efforts from the city to the county to the state to addressing unsheltered homelessness in our city and in our region.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Chowdhury. Now I will call Councilmember Rainville.
Thank you. I would like to ask a question of Councilmember Chowdhury on item 11. Do you think it's possible that we put the word addiction in that? Because in my experience in my wards, addiction is a big part of our problem. And I think words are important, and it'd be important to say that word, that that's part of the problem we're facing.
Councilmember Ellison?
I think we should go ahead and pull this item for discussion. I'm not sure where we would add the word, but it seems like there's some amendments that people want to make and some discussion that wants to be had. I'd love to pass it without any discussion or amendments, but if we're going to get into full-on discussion and amendments, I think we should just go ahead and pull this item.
Sure, thank you. We will, go ahead. Yes, please, go ahead.
I'll just note, when it comes to services that are provided, we are going to be looking at services in relationship to addressing substance use disorder that's consistent with efforts in other municipalities. So I'll just note that, and treatment is also within the language. So I'll just note, I believe that the way that the legislative directive is written currently encompasses the information that you're seeking to have reported back, Councilmember Rainville.
All right, perfect. All right, we will come back to that item. And see no one else, I will approve the consent agenda except item 11. All those in favor say aye. Aye. And those opposed say nay. The ayes have it and the motion carries. Before we get to that, go back to that item 11, I would like to recognize Councilmember Robin Wansley, who has joined us on the diocese, and also Councilmember Palmasano as a guest of the committee. Right. Item 11, I would like to make a comment, and I think this is very important for Councilmember Chowdhury and Councilmember Chavez to bring this forward. We do have crisis in our city. We have a lot of folks that are sleeping outdoor during the wintertime, rainy day. A lot of challenges in our city. As this is supposed to be the first world country, but it feels like a third world country sometimes when you drive around, especially in my Ward 6. My job became just trying to deal with the crisis and dealing with encampments and the difficulties that come with it. Yes, it is true. Some people in the encampments, there's a lot of challenges, life challenges, mental health, addiction, and they need help. They need our help. So I think any information we can get for the landscape analysis, safe door out spaces will be super helpful for us as council members to make a better policy and better decision and to represent our city. All our residents deserve a safe living condition. With that, I will call Councilmember Allison.
We're taking up item 11
Yes.
at the moment? Okay. Just wanted to quickly reiterate that this is landscape analysis of the outdoor spaces. That's information, that's exploratory. And so just wanted to highlight that, then also say that it does read at the end, Councilmember, to connect residents to services, treatment, and housing, and identify potential changes and assessing feasibility. Do you think that properly addresses? I know you wanted the term addiction in there, but I felt like treatment encompasses that. If it does, then I'm happy to move approval of this item right now, and then we can dispose of this item and get to the rest of the agenda. But just wanted to check in with you, Councilmember Rainville.
Thank you for your reassuring words, Councilmember Ellison. I think it's just important that as we go forward, I don't want to stop this process, but going forward, we need to tell the truth about addiction, that addiction is a big part of this homeless crisis, and that's my point. So to move this forward as fast as possible, I will not offer an amendment, but again, the word addiction is a very descriptive, powerful word, and it's a truthful word, and we have to be aware of that. Thank you.
No, thank you, and I will. I'll go ahead and move approval of item 11, and I know that the author has some comments as well, but just wanted to have that discussion. I wanted to acknowledge Councilmember Rainville's, I think, points that I think are important. We got to be talking about addiction, talking about treatment, talking about services. I think that point's well taken. So thank you.
Clerk-elect says.
I just wanted to add, and Councilmember Chowdhury may be about to do the same thing, but just for clarity for committee members and the public, what is on the agenda is simply summary language of the directive. I just emailed the language of the full directive around for members of the body. I have the feeling Councilmember Chowdhury was about to say something similar, but probably say a little bit more, but just wanted to state that for the record.
Thank you, Chair Osman, and thank you, Clerk Daler. And thank you, Councilmember Rainville. I really appreciate your note on this, and I fully agree with you. We have to be transparent and honest about the substance use disorder crisis that's facing our community and how intrinsic it is to unsheltered homelessness. I also just wanted to share, me and my staff, we were very intentional in writing the race equity impact analysis to ensure that one of the key findings that we're hoping to get is specifically around facilitating access to services around mental health support and substance use treatment, and obviously looking at the opportunities and challenges other municipalities have faced. And so I look forward to working with you on this and really making sure that we get the best information possible. And I'm sure our policy and research team would definitely appreciate any questions or comments you have to encourage what comes out of this report. So thank you.
Councilmember Jenkins.
Thank you, Chair Osman. I just want to remind my colleagues that, this is not necessarily a new idea or topic. We we had a navigation center in 2018, outdoor space for people experiencing homelessness, challenged by mental health issues, addiction, etc. The operators of those spaces were really frustrated with their ability to manage those spaces. And then we subsequently funded the Avivo Village, which is similar, but affords some opportunities for people to access those resources and services. And so, I just want to be real clear. This is not necessarily a new concept, and it has been challenged in the very recent past of being successful. So, we can move forward with this, but these are really challenging issues. Thank you.
Councilmember Cashman.
Thank you, Chair Osman. And I was just looking for the full directive and couldn't find it quickly, but Councilmember Chowdhury, just wondering, if this landscape analysis also covers any siting challenges, and siting challenges specifically with regards to indoor shelter spaces, as that's another, challenge in finding spaces for people who are experiencing homelessness on a day-to-day basis to have distributed sites throughout the city where they can find shelter at night. Wondering if that's included in this directive.
Through the chair, if it's all right, Councilmember Cashman, this is primarily focused on safe outdoor space models. Within the directive, because it's focused on safe outdoor space models, it's not considering what we currently have. What I do know is that shelter space in Hennepin County, especially family shelter, is over capacity by a lot. And then with indoor tiny villages, Avivo Village, they're working really hard to get a south side of Avivo Village because it's been a very successful tool and it's also not enough. So this is an opportunity for us to provide as many opportunities as possible to see what could be successful for transitional spaces to get people to stable housing. This does look into considerations around zoning and site use, and I don't have the state legislation in front of me, but there is state legislation that provides some flexibility for churches to be party to something similar to a safe outdoor space, and that's something that we'll be exploring. So I'd be happy to chat with you more offline on any specific questions. And again, I think our policy and research team would appreciate any comments that you have in terms of what you're looking forward to seeing in this report.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you all. With Councilmember Allison's motion for item 11 on consent agenda, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Next, we have 7 public hearing. The first is an application from Black Duck for on-sale liquor with Sunday sales, no live entertainment. I will ask Akbar Muhammad from Business License to give us presentation.
Thank you, Chair Osman and committee members. I am Licensed Inspector Akbar Muhammad, Licenses and Consumer Services. I'm presenting an application from Fire and Fowl LLC, DBA as Black Duck, located at 2900 Johnson Street Northeast in Ward 1. Every element of Black Duck centers around the hearth, from the flavor of the food to the warmth and congeniality of the gathering space. Chef and owner Jason Sawicki, known for his cult favorite culinary hits at Fair Game, has designed his first brick-and-mortar restaurant to be a neighborhood sanctuary and culinary destination that will serve food cooked with fire, with a section of the menu dedicated to smoked fare from the earth and seasonal foods too. The proposed hours of operation are for the interior, and exterior will be daily from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. They have an indoor seating for 84 and outdoor for 40 on a private patio. On April 22nd, public hearing notices were sent to property owners within 600 feet of the premises. Notices were also sent to the Audubon Park Neighborhood Association and the Northeast Chamber of Commerce Business Association and Council Member Elliott Payne. We have received one comment from the community, one that supports this application. None are opposed. A review of any complaints, 311 calls, police calls, and operating conditions, any other significant issues concerning this business or issuance of this license. The Licenses and Consumer Services Division recommends approval of an on-sale liquor with Sunday sales, no entertainment. This concludes my presentation. At this time, I stand for any comments, questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mohammed, for that presentation. I'm going to proceed the public hearing, and our first speaker is Jason Sawicki, Ward 1.
Hello, council members.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you. Just speaking on behalf of the restaurant, I just want to reiterate, we're really trying to build a great neighborhood gathering space in our neighborhood. We've been there since before the pandemic, trying to build this restaurant out. We were operating as a food truck, and we finally made it to this point where the restaurant construction is nearing completion. Having a liquor license just helps us in operations and kind of building a communal space for people to gather, which is really important to us.
Thank you so much for your comment. Next person is Hannah Renee.
Thank you, council members. I'm Hanny Renee. I'm joining Jason Sawicki in opening Black Duck. I am the general manager of daily operations. I'm here to support the business and let you know that we're providing a safe place for the neighborhood to gather and dine, which includes beverage as well.
Thank you for your comment. Next person on the list is Rajeen.
Thank you, council members. I am also here on the support of the team from Black Duck, and I'm the bar manager. And just to kind of go back on what they were saying, we want to create a safe space for people to gather and drink responsibly and have a good time and kind of be able to join us in this journey of opening this space. So.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. The next person is DeBark. DeBark Pritzter. Sorry, torturing your name here.
Thank you, council members, for letting me speak today. My name is Deborah Brister. I am the executive director with Audubon Neighborhood Association, and I am speaking on behalf of the Neighborhood Association today. The Audubon Neighborhood Association is the recognized association that represents Audubon Park neighborhood in Northeast Minneapolis. Just a little bit about our Audubon businesses. We've got an extremely vibrant business district in Audubon. People come from all over Minneapolis to enjoy especially our food and beverage businesses. With the recent closing of Twin Spirits Distillery in Audubon Park, also our neighborhood, we have now a gap for community to just have a casual place to have a cocktail and of course have a fabulous dinner. A little history. Several years ago, at a different location with two other chefs, they were offering to reconstruct a vacant building that had been vacant for a number of years, and they were going to construct a new restaurant. They had asked to also obtain a liquor license for their property, and they were turned down by the city, and they did end up pulling out of that proposed space, leaving that building vacant in our neighborhood for several years. And the neighborhood was really excited about it, and then it remained vacant. It is now occupied now, I'm happy to say. But at any rate, it demonstrated to us the importance of allowing restaurants to have a liquor license. I just want to say a couple of things about Jason Sawicki, the owner of Black Duck. He not only lives in the neighborhood, but he is a powerful supporter of our neighborhood businesses. We have an Audubon Farmers Market. He supports that. He's also a member of our Johnson Street Merchants Association. He has dealt with so many obstacles in terms of trying to get his restaurant open, preparing for construction just before COVID hit, and boom, everything had to be shut down. He maintained his food truck even in the wintertime, serving our neighborhood. He's like someone who you always want to have in the neighborhood. He's really wonderful. The neighborhood is excited about seeing the new restaurant, the brick and mortar restaurant, open. And just to finish up, the Audubon Neighborhood Association has voted and fully also supports Jason in obtaining the liquor license for his new restaurant, and we are excited for his grand opening. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much for your comment. And with that, I'm not seeing anyone else to speak. I'm going to proceed to close the public hearing. Are there any questions from council members? Councilmember Rainville.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have a question for our applicants, and you can just nod. Is this the old Dinsmore Cleaning Building? Okay, so I know my geography. Welcome to Northeast. Welcome to Minneapolis. Thank you for investing, and I move approval of item number 1, please.
All right. Councilmember Jenkins.
Thank you. I'm just curious, is this establishment functioning now? Is it open already?
No, it's not yet.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilmember Rainville's motion to approve this item 1. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Our next item is public hearing for on-sale liquor with Sunday sales, no live entertainment for Le Burger. I'll ask Director Amy Lingo to give us presentation.
Thank you, Chair Osmond and committee members. I'm Amy Lingo, Manager for Licenses and Consumer Services. I'm presenting an application for Le Burger 4304, owned by 4304 LLC. The business is located at 4304 Upton Avenue South, Ward 13. The applicant requests an on-sale liquor license with Sunday sales and limited entertainment. The interior seating capacity will be 46, and there will be 17 seats on the private patio. The Burger 4304 is a fast casual burger-focused restaurant. The proposed hours are the interior Monday through Sunday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Exterior, that's on the interior. Exterior, Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. 324 notices were sent to property owners within 600 feet of the premises, the Linden Hills Neighborhood Organization, the Southwest Minneapolis Business Association, and Councilmember Lene Palmisano. We have not received any responses from the community. There are no operating conditions or other issues, and Licenses and Consumer Services Division recommends approval for the on-sale liquor with Sunday sales, no live entertainment, and a sidewalk cafe license. This concludes my presentation. At this time, I'll stand for any comments or questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that presentation. And now I'm going to proceed to open the public hearing, and I'll call Josh Hoyt.
Good afternoon. Thank you for allowing me to speak, council members. My name is Josh Hoyt. I am one of the owners of Le Burger 4304. My history is in restaurants. I cut my teeth at Redstone American Grill and Boulevard Kitchen with Dean Vlahos, and then was the director of operations at Red Cow for about 6 years during a heavy growth period, and then left there and found myself as director of operations of the Bachelor Farmer. At that point, I met one of my partners, Jonathan, who's in the audience today, who was the executive chef at the Bachelor Farmer. Once that closed due to COVID, we decided we wanted to do something together. We opened a small consulting firm and helped some other restaurants navigate through COVID, helped some restaurants open up, including Churchill Street in Shoreview, as well as Herbst in St. Paul. And we found this space in one of my favorite neighborhoods in Linden Hills. I'm in southwest Minneapolis with 2 children who are in soccer and baseball and hockey. And I know why people eat at fast food restaurants, and it's not the way I want to feed my family. It's not the way that I think anybody should feed their families. And we wanted to open up something that was fast, easy, approachable, and in a neighborhood that really valued quality, as they certainly do with Martina and Tilia, Rosalia, as these destination spots. We are a fast casual, very safe, easy for families. We won't be open late, and I think we're just really excited. The whole idea is essentially as if 2 Americans opened a burger place in Paris. We got really nice, I think, compliments from the Neighborhood Association when we spoke with them, and we're really excited to be a part of the community and can't wait to open.
Thank you so much, Josh, for your testimony. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? See none, I will close the public hearing. Are there any council members who would like to make a motion? Councilmember Allison.
Thank you so much, Chair Osman, and really excited to move approval of this item. And thank you for a bit of the history there on you guys and your endeavors, and good luck on this one.
Councilmember Jenkins.
Thank you, Chair Osman. Lots of burgers in that neighborhood. I'm just curious, isn't Convention Grill reopening down the street? Are you familiar?
I've heard that for the last few years.
I think it's happening.
It probably is, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, good luck. I mean, Red Cow is pretty close, but people like burgers, so all right.
All right. With that, Councilmember Allison's motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. We are cruising. Our next item is permanent expansion of premises license for Estancia Steakhouse. I'm just going to leave that part. And I'll ask Director Amy Lingo to give us a presentation.
Thank you once again,
Thank you.
Chair Osmond and committee members. I'm Amy Lingo, Manager for License and Consumer Services. I am now presenting an application from Estancia La Rumba Steakhouse at Estancia LLC. This business is located at 4751 Nicollet Avenue in Ward 11. The applicant is requesting a permanent expansion to add 16 seats to a private patio to their existing liquor license. The proposed hours for the exterior premises is 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., 7 days a week. 52 notices were sent to property owners within 300 feet of the premises, the Tangletown neighborhood, the Southwest Business Association, and Councilmember Emily Koski. We have not received any responses from the community. There are no operating conditions or other issues related to this business. The License and Consumer Services Division recommends approval for the permanent expansion of premises. This concludes my presentation, and I stand for questions.
Thank you so much for that presentation. And now I'll proceed to open the public hearing and call. Sorry, the way it's written is very difficult to say it. Is it clever?
Good afternoon. My name is Clever Daniel Larumbe, American Syrian, but originally from Uruguay, South America. We bought a restaurant, existing restaurant, like 7-8 months ago. We want to turn into first Uruguay steakhouse in Minnesota. So we are very excited and waiting for.
Thank you so much for your comments. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? See no one else, I'll close the public hearing and call Councilmember Allison.
Thank you, Chair. And yes, thank you again for your opening your business and good luck. Hopefully there's not too many steakhouses in the neighborhood. And with that, I'm happy to move approval of this item.
Councilmember Jenkins.
Thank you, Chair Osman. Yeah, this probably would be the first steakhouse in that neighborhood. It's just right outside of Ward 8. I'm just curious, where's the patio? I know this site in the front. So right in the parking lot, you're gonna have an expansion of 16 more spaces?
Yes, right outside of the restaurant, not in the parking.
You gotta come to the mic, sir. If you can come to the mic. Oh, thank you.
This is the area that was licensed with the temporary COVID expansion, and they're just making it permanent. So it's that same area that they expanded out in front of their, into their parking lot premises. That was the COVID expansion, and they're just making that permanent.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right. With that motion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. All right, our public hearing number 4, our next item is permanent expansion premises of Sidewalk Cafe license for Martina and Rosalia. I'll ask Joseph Olson to give us presentation, or Manager Amy Lingo.
Thank you once again, and for the last time today. I am Amy Lingo, Manager of Licenses and Consumer Services, and I am presenting an application for Martina and Rosalia, owned by 4312 Argentina LLC. This business is located at 4312 Upton Avenue South, Ward 13. The applicant would like to extend their patio along the south side of the building in front of the Rosalia restaurant at 2811 West 43rd. There are 24 existing seats on the private patio, and the applicant proposes to add an additional 16 for a total capacity of an additional 116 seats for a total capacity of 140. This area has been used for outdoor dining for the past 3 years under the temporary COVID expansion. So once again, this is making permanent, which was permitted during the COVID expansion era. Martina and Rosalia are finalizing the plan development review process within the city of Minneapolis, including building code, zoning, public works, transportation, and public works service, water, and sewers. The elevated private patio under this permanent expansion is subject to and may not be used for service until the full PDR approval process has been completed and granted. The proposed hours of operation for the interior and exterior, Sunday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., Friday and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. 109 notices were sent to property owners within 300 feet of the premises, the Linden Hills Neighborhood Organization, the Southwest Minneapolis Business Association, and Councilmember Lene Palmisano. We have received 17 responses from community. 16 neighbors support the expansion of premises, and one resident has concerns about the patio construction and how it may negatively impact neighboring properties. The License and Consumer Service Division recommends approval of the permanent expansion of premises and Sidewalk Cafe license. This concludes my presentation. I stand for questions.
Thank you so much for your presentation. And now I'm going to proceed to open the public hearing and call Danielle Del Brado.
Hi. Thank you for letting me speak today. I'm Daniel Del Prado. I'm the owner of Martina and Rosalia. The company is called 4312 Argentina LLC. This is Morgan Daigle. She's my director of operations. We have 100 employees. In the patio season, we increased the hiring process a little bit for part-time and full-time. And we really depend on this patio. I don't know if you're familiar. In that neighborhood restaurants, in the winter, we break even in the patio. In the summer, in the patio season is when we make our money. So, so this is it. Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Right. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this item? See none, I will close the public hearing and call Councilmember Allison.
It's a prolific day for Ward 13. I feel like Councilmember Palmisano should be making these motions, but thank you so much for applying for this permanent expansion. Good luck as the seasons warm up, and I'm happy to move approval of this item.
All right, Councilmember Andrea Jenkins.
Thank you, Chair Osmond. I guess I would just comment, I mean, it's a day for this block. 43rd and Upton is going to be hopping, I guess.
Well, we've been open for a long time.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, if the neighbors are happy with that, I wish you good luck with your expansion.
All right. With that motion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed say nay. And the motion carries. All right. Our next item is the round 4 property sales for Minneapolis homes. I will ask, is it Tara or Tara?
Tara.
Tara Thompson from Seabed to give us a presentation. Thank you.
All right. All right. Good afternoon, Chair Osmond and council members. My name is Tara Thompson, and I'm a senior project coordinator with CPED's residential and real estate development team. Today, my colleague Matthew Ramadan and I will be presenting recommendations for the sale of city-owned property and financing through our Minneapolis Homes property purchase and financing programs. So Minneapolis Homes is an umbrella name for a variety of housing products that the city has. We help households access home ownership, create affordable ownership units through the sale of city-owned property and financing. And finally, we also help homeowners sustain their homes. Our presentation today is going to focus on the CREATE strategy of selling city-owned property through the property purchase program and financing for affordable ownership units through the Minneapolis Homes financing arm of the program. So Minneapolis Homes financing right-sizes subsidy to the unit size and income of the household. The ownership unit is intended to serve by evaluating construction costs using the Census Construction Price Index and by evaluating mortgage costs using the standard mortgage rate assumptions that exist at the time of drafting our subsidy table. The Minneapolis Homes financing program has 3 income tiers comprised of 61 to 80% AMI, 41 to 60% AMI, 40% and below AMI. The estimated affordable price is based on the middle of the income tier, so prices at 70, 50, and 30% AMI respectively are taken into account for the purpose of calculating subsidy. The figures depicted were the income tiers and subsidy limits published during the NOFA that dictated the maximum subsidy a project could receive. So this application round included a sustainability certification provision that grants an incentive of up to 20% of total development costs, or TDC, not to exceed $90,000 for improvements that result in a home being constructed to either net zero or passive home certification standards. For this round, the city recommends 1 home built to the passive home standards. And now I will turn it over to Matthew Ramadan, who will talk about the property purchase program.
Good afternoon, Chair Osman and committee members. My name is Matthew Ramadan. I'm a senior project coordinator in CPED Residential and Real Estate Development Services, or more commonly, our 120-unit housing. I'm here today to talk about our property purchase program and our recommendations for sale of existing vacant structures. This program represents the lowest barrier to entry for emerging developers to work with the city of Minneapolis. Here you can see a map of all CPED-owned properties, with the majority in the Minneapolis Homes program. We've been able to now offer project gap financing and affordability gap financing to rehab homes targeted for home ownership. Only one rehab project in these recommendations did not receive Minneapolis Homes finance because it is for rental. There are 26 applications received from developers, 14 of whom are new emerging BIPOC first-time applicants for our 14 vacant structures. Only 12 properties will be presented today. One property will be demolished and another will be remarketed. The first 3 vacant houses were recommended for sale with financing through the property purchase program to be awarded to a couple of our experienced nonprofit developers, as you can see, Urban Homeworks and Northside Home. As previously mentioned, market conditions restricted the number of units that received offers without subsidy request. The next 3 vacant houses recommended for sale with financing are to emerging developers. L&N Homes, who is here today, is a new developer, and Pencil Star Properties has completed 3 other projects with us. Here you have another Pencil Star project across the street at 1614 22nd Avenue North. DC Legacy Management and Marab Realty are also both new emerging first-time developers. This will be the second and third project for Al Maun, a local nonprofit in our community. Sugi Homes at 2122 Ilion Avenue North is the only property purchase site without financing because they completed the home for rental. This is an allowable but lower priority for the Minneapolis Homes programs, and Sugi Homes is also here today. I'll now turn my presentation back over to Tara Thompson.
Thank you, Matthew. And so these are the projects that are being recommended for new construction. So these projects comprise of our developers who are Amer Development Group LLC, TUI Construction LLC, who is also present today, eStore Masters LLC, and the units and AMI is also indicated on the slide. We also have another project being recommended for eStore Masters, JPS Homes, Nomad Properties LLC, who I believe is also here today. We also are recommending 5 single-family homes to be developed by PRG. Additionally, we're recommending that Northeast Minneapolis Properties LLC, Pedzo Stars Properties LLC, T-Force Consulting LLC, who is also a new developer, Greater Metropolitan Housing Corporation all receive awards for funding as well. And finally, we also have another project being awarded to DC Legacy Development to construct 2 units serving 80% AMI. So of the total projects that we submit for recommendations for this round, all exist within wards 1, 4, 5, and 9, which is consistent with where the majority of city property is concentrated right now. Okay. So overall, staff recommends a total of 34 projects that collectively provide or serve 60 total units of housing. Of the 34 projects, 28 are being recommended for property sales, which is comprised of 16 vacant project sites and 12 vacant structures requiring rehabilitation. Additionally, we are recommending approval for 1 project without financing that will provide an affordable rental for an 80% AMI household. We are also recommending additional financing for 3 previously approved projects, funds also to stabilize a project that will serve and impact 10 units, and we also request unit modifications for 2 projects. Of the proposed units, 45 or 65% will be sold through perpetual affordable housing, and 15 or 35% will be sold through recapture or down payment assistance method. The 34 proposals are from 20 developers total, 4 of which are new to our program entirely. 15 or 75% of those developers are Black, Indigenous, people of color, and or immigrant, and 7 or 35% are women-owned or women-led developers. 21 or 62% of the proposals are multi-unit proposals for 2 or more units, and the remaining 13 or 38% of the proposals are single-family projects. So with the additional units recommended today, the total cumulative impact of housing units approved since 2021 is equivalent to 280 units for affordable ownership housing that has been created thus far. The cumulative mechanism for those units comprise of 60% towards PAH or perpetually affordable housing and 40% towards recapture or DPA. And overall, the density contribution equates to 63% of that total, creating 2+ units projects and 37% towards 1 unit affordable housing or single family dwellings. And so that concludes our presentation, and we can stand for any comments or questions that you may have.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Before I open the public hearing, I'll just ask if there's any questions or any discussion with council members here. Councilmember Allison.
Just a quick question. First of all, thank you for the presentation. This is always a highlight when we get to talk about this work, and I get that we still got the public hearing, so I'll try to be brief. But it'd be great to know. I feel like we maybe used to have this kind of a breakdown of the race, gender, like that kind of the diversity of the developers. I think knowing that could be something that, if you guys don't know it off top hand, that's okay. But I think knowing that could be something of the public interest. And then the second question I had was, I know that we have a lot of community partners who are trying to expand who has access to ownership. When we think about getting the kinds of buyers that we're looking for, what partnerships do we have? How do we go about recruiting potential buyers for these units?
So when we release the NOFA, that is a question that we ask our developers in terms of what is your marketing strategy when you're trying to reach out and engage with the desired folks who we want purchasing those homes. And so we also evaluate based off of that, depending on whether or not their marketing plan is robust. The developers who are being developed have shown and demonstrated that they can access and engage with community members, and they convey that in their application as well to show how they will access individuals to purchase our homes.
Yeah, it's great to know that's a part of the application process.
Yes.
So thank you. That's all I've got. I really appreciate the presentation and the information that you guys have given us today.
Thank you so much. I think there might be one more question, but I do have a question. 280 units, that's really great, wonderful. We guys come here every year. This process, we do it over and over. But how long are we giving the developer to develop, and what is the completion length of those units being available by the time approval all the way to in the time they're complete, and what is the successful of developer completing those? I mean, it would be nice to get some kind of maybe report back last couple of years, all the units we have approved, how many have been complete.
Okay. Yeah, we do have a set and standardized timeline for up to 18 months, depending on the subsidies that's received and complexity of the project. Developers are also provided or given the opportunity to extend those projects should they go on longer than expected. In the last 2 to 3 cycles, we have been heavily impacted by the outcomes of COVID. And so as a result of that, many developers are experiencing high cost increases as it relates to construction and materials. And so a lot of our developers have been circling back and requesting funding. So that has been a factor that has contributed to the extended timeframes that we are now seeing. But traditionally, on average, more experienced developers can complete their projects within that allotted time. We are finding, though, with our new developers, because they are struggling and are new to the program, that we do need to provide more assistance to them. So we are partnering with them to get them to the desired completion stage.
Understandable. Thank you so much. Councilmember Rainville, do you have a question?
Yes, question and comment, please. So first of all, Mr. Ramadan and Ms. Thompson, thank you so much for this great work. It's very important, and you do it so well, so thank you. And I noticed a really interesting design on the 4th Street North, I believe it was a Moore development. It's a 3-story. I just think it's really clever. Am I right in that you're taking out what was a 1-story property, and now it's gonna there'll be a new one that's 3 stories? Yeah, there it is. There, 2324 Street North. So that's a triplex.
Oh, yeah, so this is a new construction on vacant land. And this is contributing. You may have to check that number of the unit. I do believe it's one. Let me pull up, hold on a second.
So it might be a single-family home?
Let me see.
If I may.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Chair Osman, Councilmember Rainville. My name's Kevin Canais. I'm a supervisor on our Minneapolis Homes team. So the depictions of the properties that you're seeing are preliminary. And so typically what we see is that a developer will provide a initial kind of depiction of what they're anticipating that property will look like at application.
Okay.
But because we do not want them to incur significant costs, which architecture often tends to be pretty expensive, they give a preliminary depiction of that property, and then they may discuss it with the neighborhood, and then it's possible that property may change in some form or fashion. And so what you're seeing before you is what was provided to us at application.
Got it.
But we can certainly follow up and respond back to you if you have additional questions about that one in particular.
That's fine. That's a great explanation. Thank you. So, and just to end my time here, this has to be a very proud moment for you, Councilmember Ellison, to see this much investment going into North Minneapolis. I know you've worked on this for years and years to lay the groundwork, so good for you.
All praise to the staff.
All right, thank you so much for your presentation. And now I will proceed to open the public hearing. And I have a list here. I'll call Lawrence and Mary Spears from Ward 4 at LM Homes to make a comment. Welcome.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Mary Spears. This is my husband, Lawrence Spears, and we are with L&M Homes. I am a born and raised person from North Minneapolis. I've seen Minneapolis go through many changes. And one of the things I can say about Minneapolis is that it's always managed somehow or another to come up with programs and plans and ideals to keep the city and looking really good. When you travel around the countries and you see what other cities look like compared to Minneapolis, we usually win hands down. I mean, people come here and they always are surprised at what our inner city looks like. And I believe it's because of programs like Minneapolis Homes, which is a dynamite program to me. It offers so much for newcomers into the business of developing, as well as offers home ownership to people who otherwise could not afford a home. North Minneapolis has some of the most beautiful homes I've seen. I'm in real estate, and so I am really excited about the program that Minneapolis Home provides for developers as well as homeowners. And so, yeah, we fully support that program.
Thank you so much for your comment. Next person is Ahmed Mohamud, Nomad Properties. Welcome.
Chair Osman, council members, good afternoon. My name is Ahmed Mohammed with Nomad Properties. I'm joined by Mauricio, one of our architects. We're super happy to be here today in front of your committee to build affordable, quality, modern, and perpetually affordable owner-occupied homes in Northeast Minneapolis. We are awarded a contract to build 2 vacant sites at 2015 and 2019 Jackson Street Northeast. And our proposal calls for 6-unit townhomes for owner-occupied, like I say, and not only just 6 units, but cater towards larger size households and also multi-generational, because we envision at least having 1 bedroom and a bath on the main level. I have been a real estate agent for a long time in this town, and I've lived in this community for over 20 years. And I often come across with prospective buyers who want to stay in Minneapolis for all the great things that it offers, and being a world-class city, and for people to be close to family, work, and support systems, only to be shut out in that process of owning a home in Minneapolis, and particularly newer home, because we're an older urban center. And oftentimes there are 2 reasons for this. One is because there's not enough, housing stacks, particularly, like I say, for larger size homes, families. And then more importantly, most of the homes that may be available are out of reach for the low to moderate income households. So again, our project aims to address both of these gaping holes. We're focusing on building newer, larger homes, 3 to 4 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, 4 4-bedroom units, and then 2 3-bedroom units. And then secondly, they will be affordable under the city's perpetually affordable homes program, not just for the initial owners, for subsequent owners as well. These homes will address several of the city's goals, including addressing the persistent and stubborn home ownership disparities. It will create generational wealth for owners, and it will stabilize neighborhoods. And speaking of neighborhoods, we were intentional about building something that will fit better in a built-out urban environment, while at the same time making better use of a limited space. And that's why we were very intentional, not building another giant 4-story square, but a townhomes, not more than 2 stories, so the residents and the neighborhood could fit in. Thank you.
Thank you, Ahmed. Mauricio?
Hey everybody, my name is Mauricio Ochoa. I'm an architect with TJ Architecture. Excited to partner with Ahmed on this. And just the last thing that we wanted to touch on is how we're meaningful, not only who the developer is, but who the entire development team is. The developer is a person of color, and he's been purposeful in getting an architect who's a person of color. Our general contractor is a person of color. So just to make sure that we're distributing that ability throughout the professionals. Thank you for considering this.
Thank you so much for your testimony, and good luck to you. Thank you. Next person is Sugi Homes, LLC. Welcome.
Hello, members. Hello, jury. My name is Gaurav. I am the managing employee for the Sugi Homes, LLC. My wife, she's the owner. Her name Niveda Manohar. She just left for some other work. Sorry for that. So I am new to this country, and I was surprised by the opportunities given by the city. And we set up our LLC. It's a new LLC for remodeling. And so we came across this program by the city of Minneapolis, and we were really happy to know that city is helping the migrants and the people of the color to come up and make the settlement for the housing and all. And we applied for this one, and it's like we made some calculations. It was without the city financing we made for the Sugi Homes LLC in this project. And we look forward to work with the city for further future development projects. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Seeing no one else, I'll close the public hearing. And I want to really take time to thank the staff and those of you that came to speak. And thank you for working with the city and providing more housing to our community. I'll make a motion to approve this item. All those in favor say aye. Okay, I'm sorry. There's one comment before I make the motion.
I'll be supporting your motion, Chair, and just wanted to you build off of the gratitude you expressed and just say that the council can sit up here and vote on these things, but these programs are facilitated and they're run by our staff, and so I just wanted to thank our team, and Ms. Thompson, Mr. Ramadan, about how you engage and how you make sure that we get the diverse pool of applicants that we have and who are here to testify. And of course, the work of our staff would all be for nothing if we didn't have good people in the community who are ready to take on this work and lean in. So it really is a collaboration at all levels. And so thank you all for coming here and giving some testimony and speaking to your intentions when it comes to building housing and sort of contributing to housing in our city. So just wanted to offer that and say I'll be supporting the chair's motion.
Okay, with that motion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed say nay. The ayes have it and the motion carries. All right, I would like to remind us that we are number 6 on our next item of public hearing, and our next is receiving a public comment regarding the city 2024 Consolidated Plan Action. I'll ask Matt Bauer from CBED to introduce this item. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, Chair Osman, members of the committee. I'm Matt Bauer, Manager of Resource Coordination, Finance and Property Services Department, and I'm here today to present the hearing, a report on the hearing for the city's draft 2024 HUD Consolidated Plan Action Plan. The action plan is the city's application to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for its Housing and Community Development Entitlement Grant funding. The action plan outlines strategies and programming for the city entitlement grants of the Community Development Block Grant, Home Investment Partnerships, Emergency Solutions Grant, and the Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS. The estimated sum of these grant awards is approximately $17 million. Programming is to address a community needs facing the city's low and moderate income residents. Goals for the funding are provision of decent affordable housing, housing and services for persons experiencing homelessness, provision of special needs housing, expansion of economic opportunities, and the improvement of our neighborhoods. I will note that this year is the 50th year of Community Development Block Grant Program. This program has been the primary source of local community development funding provided to cities by our federal government. The draft plan before you also includes an amendment to the city's Home American Rescue Plan funding allocation plan, which the city submitted and was approved by HUD last year. The amendment makes changes in 3 areas of the allocation plan, further defining a high priority homeless subpopulation under the homeless preference qualifying populations, clarifying project referral methods, and adjusting funding allocations by sub-activities. The draft plan was issued for a public comment period running April 22nd to May 21st. All written comments and any comments received at today's public hearing will be included in the plan submitted to HUD after May 21st. This concludes my report, and I stand for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that presentation. And now I'll proceed to open the public hearing. Are there anyone who would like to speak? See no one else, I'll close the public hearing. And are there any questions? See none, I will move this item for approval. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Our next final hearing is on the recent TNC ordinance. I'll invite co-author Robin Wansley to say a few words about the ordinance, and thank you for being here and being patient.
Thank you, Chair Osman. So, colleagues, today we are considering amendments to the business licensing requirements for the transportation network companies. I'm going to share a brief overview of what these provisions do and why my co-authors and I have brought them forward today. So the first one is related to fair transparency. So this amendment will require that in order to be eligible for a license, a TNC must send a receipt to both
the rider and the driver within 24 hours after a trip. And that receipt will include the amount that the rider paid, the amount that the driver received, the number of miles and minutes in the ride, the per minute and per mile rates, or any variable or surcharge pricing that impacts the cost of the ride, as well as the amount paid to the driver. It also requires that the TNC provide each driver a weekly summary of their time worked, miles driven, and an accounting of how the total compensation for the week is calculated. Fair transparency, as we heard throughout our conversations around our rideshare protection policy, is simply crucial for riders and drivers to be able to know that TNCs are in compliance with the city's minimum compensation requirements. Drivers also need to know how their pay is calculated on a ride-by-ride basis, as well as on a weekly basis. And these are provisions that other workers can sometimes forget that, without them, there's literally no accounting of, what a company pays them, why they're being paid a certain amount for a ride. I think also in this space, we have heard throughout several public hearings that many drivers who have completed a long ride have been compensated incredibly low amounts, and oftentimes without any explanation or accounting of how that compensation related to the ride itself and why it was the amount that it was. So by amending the ordinance to include fair transparency, drivers can essentially become their own advocates and take action to correct or resolve any discrepancies in their compensation. Fair transparency is also importantly a consumer protection issue. Currently, Uber and Lyft can charge a rider $50, give the driver $15 of it, and walk away with the rest. And the rider has no idea what the driver is getting and might assume, which we've often heard, assume that the driver is getting majority of what they pay for that ride. And this can also impact their ability to receive tips as drivers. So fair transparency should both be disclosed to drivers and riders, and the secrecy around it has essentially resulted in unfair workplace practice, essentially, in conditions for drivers across the nation. And we know the rideshare industry in Minneapolis is going to be more diverse than just the current two companies, and fair transparency allows riders to have more information about how different companies handle prices, driver compensation, and therefore make informed decision about which company they would like to use. The second amendment is for data disclosure. This mandates that any TNC regularly discloses bulk data to the city. This is incredibly important for labor standards enforcement and identifying if there are patterns of wage theft or some minimum compensation. It's also crucial for identifying if there are patterns of discrimination. For example, I know I've heard that, there's concerns around if certain neighborhoods are not receiving the same level of services as other neighborhoods. So having access to this data could help us be able to discern if that's actually a credible pattern. This data will also allow our Public Works Department to be able to make informed decisions about street design and traffic management. Lastly, we will need data disclosure in order to comply with the requirement that was passed in the last ordinance to continuously evaluate the minimum compensation rates in the ordinance, in the overall ordinance in itself. Fair transparency and enforcement mechanisms were also both recommendations made in the governor's task force report that was co-created by both TNCs, including Uber and Lyft, drivers, state lawmakers, and a number of other stakeholders such as riders. These are essentially common sense provisions that can ensure that the ordinance can be both enforced and evaluated. In addition to these two amendments, I know this will be taken up, but I want to express support for the amendment that has been submitted by Councilmember Chowdhury as well as Chair Osman that adjusts our per mile compensation rates from $1.40 per mile to $1.27 per mile. This rate reflects an agreement that is a byproduct of conversations with our state leaders that will extend minimum wage equivalents to more than 10,000 drivers across the state. So I'm very excited about this. I know my co-authors and I have been willing to work with the state and a number of our colleagues to land at this place of agreement, and especially an agreement that reflects alignment between the city and our state's legislative bodies. So I'm excited that we're here to do everything that we can to protect our workers, also doing so while making sure we're not stripped of our local control as well. So I support this amendment and look forward, hopefully, to its passage. But that is basically the summary for the two amendments or provisions that's in front of you today.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Robin Wansley, for the explanation. Now, I'm going to proceed the public hearing and call. I have one person here, Steve Wright.
Good afternoon. I just wanted to come by and introduce myself. My name is Steve Wright. I'm the CEO and founder of Rides. We got our permit approved last week. Thank you, Amy. Anyway, we're here and we're ready to actually onboard drivers. We're ready to abide by all the amendments. In fact, most of what Ms. Wansley just spoke about, we already have. It's all up front in the app. Passenger sees exactly what they're paying, miles, minutes, and everything, and they can say, what does my driver make? And that pops up in a window, and it says exactly what their driver is making on the same trip. We also give the same exact invoice to the passenger and the driver, so there's no smoke and mirrors. It shows everything the passenger paid, what the driver received, and what they didn't receive, like an airport fee or insurance fees. So just mainly wanted to introduce myself and let you know that we're here, we're on the ground, we're doing our first onboardings tomorrow. The first handful of drivers will be officially on board tomorrow, and we should be live probably by end of day tomorrow. We'll actually be ready to start taking trips.
Thank you so much, and congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, and now I see no one else. I will close the public hearing. Are there others to speak? I think there isn't. All right, I'll close the public hearing. Are there any discussion from council members? Councilmember Chowdhury.
Thank you so much, Chair Osman. I think Councilmember Wansley did a really good job explaining the amendment before us. I just kind of wanted to highlight that, again, we came to this amendment through discussions between me, Councilmember Wansley, Council Vice President Chugtai, with state legislators and leadership and authorship of the TNC bill at the state level to have a potential shared rate of $1.27 per mile. This rate is consistent with the policy and research addendum analysis that was presented to this committee on April 19th at our last meeting. The addendum analysis considered the state's DALI report and accounted for variable changes in gas and vehicle acquisition. All other variables from license, registration fees, maintenance, cell phone, insurance, cleaning were constant and consistent with the state study, used the same numbers, and vehicle acquisition was utilized the same data that the state did on registered vehicles at the Metropolitan Airport Commission. 127 per mile is presented in the policy and research analysis. We found it to be a middle ground rate that accounts for vehicle financing of drivers with good credit at 48 months of financing. Our hope is that this rate is able to ensure the drivers who are most impacted by sub-minimum wage are paid a minimum wage in Minneapolis. It is also a rate that is between the metro area rate and the greater Minnesota rate per mile in the state study. We believe that this amendment shows an eagerness to collaborate with the state legislators, provide fairly to drivers, and is a decent compromise at 13 cents, decreasing from the rate that was currently set in our ordinance. The current ordinance also provides a mechanism that an external evaluation be conducted on the impact of this ordinance after 6 months and a year after its effective date on July 1st and every year after. The report will include compensation impacts on driver behavior, rideshare companies, passengers, and recommendations on improvements, providing us a mechanism to make adjustments as we see reasonable and necessary. I'll close by rooting us in the reality that we're facing. The drivers in our city and our region are being paid a sub-minimum wage by large corporations that rely on drivers' work to be profitable. The drivers who provide most of the rides in our region are largely immigrants, Black and male, and are overwhelmingly relying on public assistance and are living at or below the poverty line. We are currently a part of a national conversation about the fact that the system of rideshare that we currently have is exploitative to its workers and are pitting people who are working class against each other, from folks that rely on rides and the people who provide the service. We're not kicking out the two large rideshare companies. They're choosing to leave if they decide to, and they're choosing to leave residents and drivers behind. That is why I'm also really glad to see one of the rideshare companies that is newly approved. I believe now there are two, and there are a couple others that are currently on their way to completion. And there's currently also an app-based taxi service that support rides currently active. Markets change, and we must remain constant and steadfast in our commitment to workers as we have in our city's history. There's no incentive currently for the large corporations to push for a rate that's not the lowest possible without threatening to leave, and they also have not been providing any information on economic impacts to their profitability. So we must look at fact. Wage floors have been passed, and rideshare services have continued in other cities such as New York and Seattle. Statewide policy has been passed in Washington alongside a municipal policy in Seattle, with rideshare service still continuing. Two large corporations will tell us that the wage floor will make it impossible for them to exist in this market, but they continue to operate in other communities where the wage floor is much higher. So I'll just finish by saying I thank the drivers who have been advocating for these changes and that are struggling currently in our city to pay for food, for housing, support their family as the cost of living, and almost everything else that people rely on is rising. We need to see a fair minimum wage at its bare minimum for them. We cannot say that this is an essential service without saying that the drivers who make rideshare possible are essential workers. The rides to medical appointments, grocery stores, through bad weather, from the airport to downtown are only made possible because of the drivers who serve our community. And all companies who come into our city must comply with the minimum wage regulations and pay their workers fairly. I look forward to your support on this amendment, and I thank my co-author, Councilmember Osman, and I thank Councilmember Wansley for her work over the last 2 years on this ordinance, and I thank our partners at the state legislature, and of course the community members and the riders who want to see a system that is fair and just and something that upholds the standards for workers in the city of Minneapolis.
Thank you, Councilmember Chowdhury. Before we go too far with that, I would first of all like to make the motion for original ordinance for approval. Can I have a second?
Second.
All right, thank you. That motion second. Councilmember Chowdhury, do you want to make the motion to amend the ordinance?
So moved.
Second. All right. We have all copies of the motion. Is before us, and now it's open for discussion. Councilmember Jenkins.
Thank you, Chair Osman. A couple of comments. I guess I'm just curious, was there, you talked about negotiation. Were drivers and rideshare companies involved in these conversations at all? It seems like there were 3 city council members and 3 state legislators who made this decision. There are many other stakeholders at play, and I'm just curious, what is the input and or involvement of some of those stakeholders? Secondly, the rates, while it is less than our original rate that we passed, is still higher than the state's study. So I'm just concerned about the viability of the rate, particularly, the governor's needs to be able to sign off on this. And so that is a concern, I guess. We talk about changing these things, and we continue to use this word workers. And yes, they are workers and they deserve to be paid fair wages. But I think we are traveling down a path, and in Massachusetts, there's legislation or legal actions taking place right now to determine whether or not these rideshare companies are in fact employers and the drivers are employees. And so if we continue to do this, we're gonna force this out of the, quote, gig economy into a more traditional workplace. So those are some of the concerns that I'm just expressing out loud.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Jenkins. For your first question, I would call Councilmember Wansley, who has been part of the process. And I think your question was about the process of discussion with the state.
Yep. Thank you, Chair Osmond. I'll also, ask that Councilmember Chowdhury chip in any parts that I leave out, as she's been our IGR chair rep and has been a crucial or played a crucial role in our negotiations. So just for the public record, I want to be very clear about the negotiations piece. So for several weeks, several council members, that being the co-authors, council leadership, and chair, IGR chair, Councilmember Chowdhury, as well as state leaders, and we're talking about leadership in the House as well as the Senate and the governor's office, have met for several weeks to talk about where can we find alignment and agreement when it comes to compensation. So this whole thing about stakeholders not being in the room, that's simply not true. They have been a part of those conversations. Also, Uber and Lyft has been kept abreast throughout that entire process of us having these conversations about where we were landing, where we were thinking. And no one should be surprised that Uber and Lyft are still holding firm to actually Uber is saying 68 cents per mile. So they're not even talking about even the DLI study itself. So we're at a place that, one, Uber and Lyft did not elect us to deliver on policy. They're a Silicon Valley tech company that has been exempted and allowed to be exempted from our minimum wage policy for several years. And we're simply, as legislators, closing the loophole. And when we were talking about working with state officials to pass policy, we worked with the body that passed policy, and that were the state leaders. They passed that information on to Uber and Lyft, and they were kept abreast of what conversations we were having the entire time, along with Governor Walz. And eventually, the legislative body of the state and the legislative body of the city said, as Councilmember Chowdhury highlighted, based off of the data that we have, both within the DLI study and our own respective study here that includes the PAR analysis, we landed at $1.27 per mile, which is reflective from the data that is out there on ride shares. So that's some context about the stakeholder conversations and how we landed where we landed. In terms of traveling down a path of somehow treating rideshare workers or gig economy workers as workers, I want to highlight there is nothing in our policy that deals with classification. That is where we would actually be dealing with matters around classification of worker status and whether or not people should get certain benefits as opposed to, full-time employees. So that is not something we're taking up. We are acknowledging a loophole that exists in our current minimum wage policy that has allowed drivers, rideshare drivers in particular, to be paid a some minimum wage for years that is backed up by the DLI study itself. So I hope that can provide some context. Please, Councilmember Chowdhury, fill in any gaps that I missed.
Councilmember Chowdhury, before I call Councilmember Rainville, if you would like to add any more.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chair Osman. I think I would just like to add that our goal in meeting with state legislators was honestly to see if there was a pathway for us to bring an amendment forward to the rest of the legislative body so we could have a discussion together about it. There have been different rates that have been brought forward, some with no discussion with our state legislators, and this is one where I felt it was really important as an individual council member to have those discussions to see what was possible. Many state legislators indicated that their policy really wanted to be able to understand where the city of Minneapolis was headed, as we are a large part of the total amount of rides within the region. And so we had some really good faith conversations with the governor's office. We had conversations with our state legislators. I believe drivers at the Capitol, a group of them have been pushing for 130 per mile. I've had conversations with drivers as we've moved forward through this process, and these conversations happened really, again, just in reality to bring forward an amendment that was really rooted in a dialogue, and state leaders and the authors really wanted us to be able to have an agreement that we could bring forward, and the part of the agreement was bringing this amendment forward for us to consider together as a legislative body. And I think Councilmember Wansley did a pretty good job of covering the rest. I will give it back to the chair.
Thank you so much. Councilmember Rainville, do you have a comment or questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have a question. Just to be clear, Uber and Lyft were not part of this. You told them what was decided. You didn't ask their opinion on the costs associated with this?
For clarification, are you saying this as a definitive statement, Councilmember Rainville, as if you were there, or this is something that you're hearing?
No. Let me repeat it so you understand.
Please.
I'm asking the question.
Mm-hmm.
Was Uber and Lyft, other than just you telling them what was going to happen, were they consulted? Were they asked, how will these costs affect their business?
Yes, so I believe I shared state legislators were in conversations with Uber and Lyft, and throughout that process, as we were negotiating, they held firm to, at least on Uber, 68 cents, which they've talked about publicly, even as we've made it through passage in the House and the Senate. So they were consulted, and they held firm, as they've been doing, on not wanting to adhere even to DLI rates.
So they were consulted by the state, not by anybody on our council.
Councilmember Chowdhury, I think might have to add some answer.
Thank you, Councilmember Rainville. So in discussions with leaders at the state legislature, as we were moving towards a number, they were holding conversations with Uber and Lyft and brought forward the rate to them. And as Councilmember Wansley stated, both rideshare companies held to the lowest rate possible, 68 cents for Uber and then 89 cents for Lyft. And as I stated in my remarks earlier, there is no incentive for these rideshare companies to go above anything below that. There's no incentive for them to share whether they are profitable within these rates or not. I believe that one of the members of the Senate Finance Committee asked yesterday or a couple days ago when the finance meeting happened to Uber directly, are you profitable with this current rate? And the question was dodged, and then it was asked again, and then it was dodged. And then I also believe that Council President recently had a conversation with Lyft about this rate, and the person that he spoke to, I believe that person has also been emailing us, their public affairs person, I'm not remembering his name, said they're not authorized at the level that they are to give an opinion on our number, and that it's not at their pay grade to give anything besides 89 cents. And so at a point, it is my opinion that policymakers have to make policy and move forward. And what we have before us is a rate that is rooted in data and information. And again, within the ordinance that we're looking at with data transparency available, we'll be able to make adjustments as necessary if the rate is not correct. And I think that is a good direction to head in.
That's a long answer. So are you telling me that the state wants these amendments? So this is coming from the state legislatures to us?
This is a byproduct as you received in your inbox a week ago, and that has been passed now through the House and the Senate, 127. The state will move theirs per mile to $1.27. The city will also do the same, which is why we're taking up this amendment. And the shared agreement is we would do that in tangent, and they will take preemption off the table. That's the agreement.
Okay. Thank you for those answers. And I'm not going to vote for this. I think that it's really important to have the companies involved directly. And for us to get involved in that is just not what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to fix potholes and pick up the garbage and have police services. So that's what I'm going to be spending my time on. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I would like to have my. I would like to make a comment about this. First of all, thank you so much, council members who have been tirelessly working last couple of years, meeting the drivers, doing all this study that we have done, this numbers coming from these numbers, and still going to the state. Even though we had no reason actually to even go back from 140 to 127, but still, you took the leadership to meet the state legislators, to work with them, because you want something done for the drivers. Let me just remind the folks that we're here because what Uber and Lyft did to our drivers. Because what we have seen, the wage theft, the cheap labor that these immigrants have been doing for many years. And finally, we have legislators and council members who have stood up for them and say no to these companies. You gotta be any other company in the city of Minneapolis that's operating. Follow the law we have in the books. We have done our duties. We have crunched the numbers. We came up a perfect number that the state legislators agree that we have agreed. It took a lot of work, a lot of vetoing, a lot of discussion, but we are here. This is the perfect solution to move forward. Drivers being happy. Are we talking about, is Uber and Lyft profitable? Really? Is that the question we're asking? Let's just think about this. What does Uber and Lyft provide? Only app. Vehicles for drivers, gas for drivers, insurance for drivers, labor is for drivers. Everything else is for drivers. They're out there somewhere else in the world in a computer. They're not here in our community. The drivers are here working. Uber only provides app. That's it. They don't provide anything else. Nothing else. Any other business, there's expensives. There's stuff they have to buy. There's rents they have to pay. All that stuff. Uber doesn't do that. It's this new technology, and our laws and policies have to keep up with the technology, and that is exactly where we have been working for it. And I think where we are today, it's a great work, and it's a place that we can all agree. And I believe that we will. The adjustment we have made makes sense to the state. I'm actually speaking to the governor to sign that bill if it's passed through the state. Make sure these drivers and our city are protected. For any other technology, policies have to keep up with the time we're in. All right, that is my comment. I would like to call Councilmember Cashman.
Thank you, Chair Osman. I'm voting in support of this compensation rate change today. This is us upholding our end of the compromise agreement that we reached with the state legislature, which I thank my colleagues for delivering on. And although I wasn't in all of the negotiations, I personally spoke with the full contingency of House representatives and state senators who are representing Ward 7. And so this is a moment where we were able to collaborate and communicate what the passengers and drivers of our city need. And we have reached a compromise here that will move us forward. And I also want to acknowledge that through our work on this, we have expanded the market. There are 2 new companies now licensed and ready to provide this service to our city. And that's really good news. And that's a great outcome here too. So I'm happy to be supporting this amendment before us today.
Thank you, Councilmember Cashman. I will call Councilmember Palmisano.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If I may, I'm not on this committee, but I have a question, perhaps for the authors, and then some comments. If the state legislature is already passing or has already passed a rate of $1.27 per mile, why is the city of Minneapolis passing the very same rate? Isn't it duplicative? Isn't that a double use of taxpayer money to monitor and adjudicate the same exact rate at the state level and then the city level?
Councilmember Allison?
I'll let the authors address that, but I do want to say it's not uncommon for us to have municipal laws that are in compliance with state laws or to match state laws so that we can have our own mechanisms of enforcement. I feel like that's pretty normal. It's something that we do on other items as well, probably less contentious, so less recognizable, but it's that doesn't strike me as particularly out of order or uncommon for how we might handle ordinances.
I appreciate that. I do see it as a little bit strange in a dynamic pricing kind of environment. Usually we would say we follow state law, right? And that state law might increase over time. I doubt it would ever decrease over time. But regardless, the thousands of messages we've all received from residents who are concerned about Uber and Lyft's departure from Minneapolis, they were not asking members of this body to meet with lawmakers at the state to figure out which rates would be agreeable to their political agendas of this session. They were asking us to meet with Uber and Lyft to keep those particular rideshare companies in Minneapolis. That didn't happen. The rates that we have before us today, this 127 rate, was determined by a handful of state lawmakers and only 3 of the 13 total members of this body. These 3 council members don't have the authorization to go and speak on the city's behalf. They might have been invited to do so, but when I learned of this after the fact, that felt really backwards, and I have to name that. I was not told beforehand that these 3 council members were having a meeting, that we were sending anybody to the state, or who we would be meeting with to try to come up with one common rate. I like the idea of having a common rate, but how did it come to be that these 3 council members were authorized to go and negotiate on the city's behalf? That seems incredibly outside your role here. I would feel it's outside of my role. You don't speak for me, and how would you feel if I went to the state legislature and said I was there on behalf of the city making deals? Like, that on its face feels absurd. There's a falsehood here that the city came to an agreement. We're a governing body, all of us, and you're not authorized to go and negotiate in this way. So I feel there's a big problem here that goes beyond rideshare about democracy on the Minneapolis City Council. But also importantly, and something I have to name here, is there is tremendous opportunity cost to this session and how this specific initiative has taken the place of all of our documented, approved legislative priorities. We haven't yet seen how this legislative session concludes. But we have significant needs as a city for things we all have agreed on, like red light cameras, funding for the Nicollet Bridge, stormwater tunnels, and several more pages that aren't having their due time this session, because so much time and energy has been spent trying to untangle the mess created by this specific ordinance. And Those are things we agreed upon as a body. It's really important to say that. As far as I can tell, you've waylaid our House and our Senate majority leaders to spend incredible amounts of time on this, days. And I think there is a path forward here that ensures drivers are paid fairly and without disrupting these essential services for riders. I continue to support the rates that were informed by that study and acknowledge the different kinds of benefits that that wage study provides at different levels. And I think we could come to a true compromise, but it would have to be one that is agreeable to drivers and riders and TNC companies alike. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for allowing me to come to your committee and say what I needed to say.
Thank you. I do want to remind folks that there's a meeting here, HPC, at 4:30 today. So the best is to wrap it up, and we still have an item. And thank you, Arts, for being patient. Before I call you, Councilmember Wansley, I was wondering, Councilmember Jenkins, if you had any comments. Your thing are standing. Oh, I'm sorry, Keith.
Whatever the order is.
Okay, sorry, I thought you would.
Thank you, Chair Osmond. In the interest of time, I will cede my time.
Councilmember Allison and then Councilmember Wansley.
Thank you. A lot to digest, a lot of comments. Mostly, I wanted to say, similar to Councilmember Cashman, I'm going to be supporting this. I think it's good for this to be brought forward, and I thank the authors as well for bringing this forward. And I'm kind of processing in real time some of the discussion that's been had here, and maybe I'm open to my analysis being a little bit off here, but I think it's pretty normal for authors to have conversations, authors of an ordinance to have conversations outside of like a full body, full enterprise agreement. I've certainly have had stakeholder engagement for renter protections in the past. I've certainly have had to, have conversations about lawsuits around ordinances that I've worked on in the past. And it wasn't, from my recollection, it wasn't city council members who interjected themselves into state business. It was a year plus ago, the state interjected itself into an ordinance that the council was writing at the time, that the city was writing at the time. And it was the state who didn't move forward in writing a law. Council members again started working on an ordinance again a year later, and then again it was the state who threatened to interject and say that they were going to preempt. I'm using the state broadly here. I know that there's a lot of individuals, and not all of them are, were speaking in unison, nor has this council been. I think that it is, it would have been a little bit odd to me if the authors hadn't been responsive to threats of preemption and gone and had conversations. And I would not have anticipated. I would have found it a little bit strange if the authors had come to me and say, "Hey, do we have your permission to represent the city? Hey, it's your ordinance. It's your ordinance. Go do what you need in order to make sure that your ordinance can get passed. And if I don't like it, I will vote against it when it comes up on the dais." That's what we have here. Right? And so I don't think that anybody came up and said, "Hey, we represent the city." The authors went and they represented their ordinance, and now their ordinance is before council. And so we get to vote for it or against it. And that's my view of this policy. Is that laughable? No, it's correct.
Councilmember,
it's not laughable, it's correct. And so if I'm working on something, if we can have council members up here working on all sorts of ordinances. Please go do your job to get your ordinance passed. Come talk to me and see if you can get my support. I'll certainly do the same for the things that I'm writing. But this is your opportunity to have a voice and to decide whether the authors represented the city well or not, right? This is that voice. And to act like democracy was subverted it doesn't feel, it is hyperbole. It's absurd. Come on, let's vote on this, and let's rein in some of this, some of these ill feelings that just sort of have bubbled way outside of proportion here. it has started to, as somebody who has been not an author on any of these ordinances, who's been listening, has been frustrated by the process, who has felt like sometimes we're spending too much time on this, as somebody who hears all of those criticisms as valid, it does sometimes feel like people are more concerned with the feelings of two corporations than they are with the substance of the matter, which is, are we enforcing our minimum wage or not? Does the city's minimum wage matter or not? If it's really about rideshare companies having a presence in the city, and we're seeing other rideshare companies start to have a presence, then is it about that, or are you in love with two specific companies that provide rideshare services? I mean, I'm really struggling with just how much advocacy has happened on behalf of two companies and two companies only. Because even answers to those questions, solutions to their absence, has been met with just still ire, anger, hyperbole, frustration. I'm really confused by it. And so I think it's completely appropriate for authors of an ordinance to be responsive to state leaders who said they're going to preempt that ordinance. And if they weren't, I would feel like somebody would have to step up, because I don't want the state preempting us on anything. That's the League of Cities position. That's our city's position. Was the expectation that the authors would just simply stop working on their item? I'm sure we all wish each other would stop working on certain stuff, right? We all have stuff that we don't like that the other people are working on. I have no expectation that my colleagues will stop doing their work simply because I don't like it. Do your work, and when it comes up for a vote, I have my opportunity to vote for or against it. That's your voice here. So I'll get off my soapbox. I'm sure others have comments, and I am excited to hopefully vote on this and then sort of put it to bed next week.
All right, thank you. We are almost wrapping up because we still have one item to go. I'll call Councilmember Wansley and then Councilmember Jenkins.
Honestly, Councilmember Ellison said it all. We have I had to look in my inbox since March 20th, kept this council abreast of us engaging with state leaders about concerns that have been raised either by our state delegation or even colleagues here in business interests around getting to alignment around compensation that everyone can support, especially amongst the legislative bodies. And so no one was blindsided by us having conversations with the state. Also, in addition to this, I'm glad Councilmember Palmisano brought up our legislative agenda, because this body voted to support rideshare policies as part of our legislative agenda. So it would make sense for us to bring our staff and our IGR chair to literally advocate for something that's part of our legislative agenda on the municipal level. As many of us do, as Councilmember Ellison highlighted, I know I've seen a number of you all advocate for a number of issues with your respective state leaders, because that is part of our job. Our job is doing policy. If you did just want to do social services or serve the police, I encourage you to run for mayor one day, but we are here to do policy and work with respective legislators to deliver on that and to make sure that it's centering the most impacted and most vulnerable folks, which are our residents. And in this case, it's drivers. That Councilmember Chowdhury outlined, predominantly immigrant, predominantly Black and brown, and reliant upon public assistance. You know who is not relying on public assistance? Actually, they are public welfare, Uber and Lyft. So to me, that is who's been centered in this work. And I am very proud of the place that we have landed at, to once again work in tangent with our state leaders to deliver significant and nation-leading labor protections that hopefully will encourage other countries to follow suit, states to follow suit. So I at least wanted to highlight that and also say thank you, Councilmember Ellison, for sharing a lot of the thoughts that I had to around, this is not about political motives. This is literally delivering a minimum wage for drivers, for workers, as we've done for 70,000 other workers across the city for several years now.
All right, Leslie, Councilmember Jenkins.
Thank you, Chair Osmond. I think what is lost in this conversation and what has not been mentioned is the people who rely on rideshare for all sorts of reasons, be they disabled, to get to work, to get home from work. Those are the majority of people that I've been hearing from, is people who are relying on rideshare to be able to live their lives. And this ordinance could potentially make that less of a possibility for them. I recognize that there are 2 licensed rideshare companies that have entered into the market. I think competition is important. I think it's necessary, and I welcome it. However, to be able to get to the point where you are known enough to be able to capture the market that Uber and Lyft has, I think is a really, really tall order. And, you know, the riders are going to be the ones who suffer in this in the future.
Lastly, hopefully, Councilmember Chowdhury.
Thank you, Chair Osman. I appreciate the dialogue that's been happening up here. I think it's really important for us to have it and the public to be witness to it as they're interacting with us. I'll just note, I was asked by several community members to talk to state legislators and work with them in finding a compromise solution. I have multiple emails that indicated that, and I took that really seriously. And I'll just note, in our conversations and negotiations with state leaders, I applaud council members for mentioning that they were representing themselves as council members, that we weren't able to make any decisions. We could make agreements about bringing forward an amendment and doing our work together, but that would have to happen here before the city council in the public. And that was something that we consistently raised. I also want to mention, I believe that our IGR team has been doing incredible work maintaining the rest of our legislative agenda. I heard today that the 2040 comp plan clarification bill was just put into the transportation omnibus in the Senate, which is great for us as the city of Minneapolis, and things are moving along in that front. And our IGR leadership and team have been made aware the entire time as council members were talking to legislators, and they also were really helpful in connecting conversations. Our council leadership was also made aware, and council leadership had consistent meetings with the administration to also make them aware of the conversations that we were having, so we could be transparent and move through the process and do our work in order to bring forward a thoughtful amendment before this body for us to consider. And if folks do not feel like they could support it and they don't think the compromise is good enough, I completely understand. I'll understand if you vote no. I ask for your support. And I'll also note that we have been considering the riders and the passengers that rely on rideshare. They are not a monolith. Many have reached out and said, I do not want to be a part of an exploitative system. I want systems that work, and I'm excited that we're expanding the market and there's opportunities for this. I believe that Senator Omar Fateh worked with the Council of Disabilities, and the president of the Council of Disabilities actually is a supporter of the legislation at the state legislature. And I've also had multiple residents myself who have either a loved one that relies on rideshare, a senior, or someone with a disability, that said they're willing to figure out another way and are excited to see other things that are available for them, because again, they don't want to be a part of this exploitative service. And so that's kind of what's in tension with with this conversation. Again, two large corporations pitting working people against working people. And I'll just close off by saying on May 8th, Forbes reported that Uber Technologies is en route to have about $2.4 billion in profit. So that is something that we should center in this conversation. Maybe they're having some troubles with their investors. I'm not going to let that impact how I legislate in terms of how we support working people and upholding a minimum wage in the city of Minneapolis.
All right. Thank you so much. Let's move forward. And on the motion to amend the proposed guidelines, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. No. The ayes have it and the motion carries. Next, we will return to the main motion. I'm not going to ask that. On the motion to approve the amended ordinance, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And all those opposed say nay.
No.
The ayes have it and the motion carries. We have two next items. I know because we had a technical issue, we had a long discussion. There are some helpful tips Councilmember Allison has for us.
I just wanted to, we've got two presentations that I don't want to get shortchanged here, but I also know that there's the approval for guidelines on both items that I want to make sure don't get delayed. And so I'm wondering if it's amenable to our staff, if we could move the presentations a cycle, but pass both items, pass the guidelines. Yeah, so if that's amenable to our staff, I'm sorry we've had you waiting here. We're on a time crunch, and so I just want to see if that's amenable to you. I'll let you answer.
So just so I know, I don't have to present right now? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
But you're approving the guidelines so we can move forward, and then we'll come back and do a presentation?
How long will your presentation take?
I think I can, whip through as quickly as I can.
We have about 15 minutes.
Okay, maybe I'll just start a little bit. And I do have a presentation. Sure. I don't know if you can see it.
That's fine. It's fine. Okay.
I'll try to just do the highlights. How about that?
Sure. Thanks for you being patient, Director Penn.
Great. Hi. Chair Osman, Vice Chair Ellison, and Council. Nice to see you. I'm Ben Johnson, Director of Arts and Cultural Affairs for the City of Minneapolis. I'll use the acronym ACA to refer to our department. I'm here to give a brief overview of our proposed guiding principles and evaluation criteria for the launching of our new initiatives called Vibrant Storefronts and Cultural Districts Program. These are two separate programs. We are seeking a request for the council action for the approval of these guidelines and criteria. But before I begin, I just want to make sure you knew our new staff. We have Addie Gonzalez here, who's our new executive manager for the arts, who has been here for 6 months. Cassie Garner, our new program manager, and Mina Mengel-Vedeker, our other program manager. This is a new team of seasoned pros who've put together very thoughtful and impactful guidelines for these particular programs. I also just wanted to quickly thank my CPED colleagues who helped ideate these programs from the beginning as part of the last budgetary cycle. So, a few notes. We'll start with Vibrant Storefronts. This was a mayoral priority in 2024, and it was meant to address the lack of vibrancy in downtown. And then our program, ACA, combined our efforts to address the affordable arts space crisis within the broader city of Minneapolis. For this program, we will be serving as a bridge between building owners and artists and cultural organizations to quickly provide a solution for the space needs for artists. This is also an arts activation, this is also an act of invitation to invite Minneapolis-based creative industries back to downtown. And with that invitation, allow them to help reimagine downtown through the lens of community building and the arts. Once identified, our goal is to provide new arts vibrancy, catalyze public engagement through these spaces, and assist our local creatives in developing the business opportunities. We also know that the arts provide real and psychological safety, and we want to be an active participant in that goal as well. I just talked about this slide. So in brief, the initiative summary is that We are helping to support the rent of a whole variety of art sectors within these spaces near downtown of up to $50K per awardee at a minimum of 2 years, with the option to renew upon completion after 2 years. Note that this grant is up to $50K, and it will be based on the agreed upon rental. Some spaces will be smaller, some will be larger, and some organizations will cluster into one space. So much of this is based on the opportunity in the venue. We are also supporting spaces that can commit to a minimum of 2 years, so that this program isn't seen as a temporary or a pop-up program or simply decorative. It's actually seen as a deep investment in arts and culture to help support anchoring our creatives in downtown. The properties that we are selecting that we have been to, so the staff has already done site visits and met with all the property owners. It was important for us to have eyes on the spaces. We are prioritizing the downtown area. In this case, we will show you in the next slide the exact area of concentration. These areas needed to have accessibility, both parking and walking, and make sure there was an ease to have access to these spaces. We needed to know that the spaces were vacant. Some of them have been vacant for over 6 years, and we're wanting to be part of this process. The spaces needed to be turnkey to a certain extent, so they're ready to open, ready to be used, and clustered together. The potential for the artists to use them, so we are having artists do site visits to sort of imagine the use of these spaces, and that there was interest by the property owners to actually be part of this program. And I'm thrilled to say that so many were wanting to participate. Here's the area that I just wanted you to see in consultation with CPED. We started with thinking about the Harmon Place area and the Loring Park area. That seemed to have a large concentration of spaces, and kind of, in my mind, allowed us to think about from the area of the Walker into Loring Park into downtown as sort of the new cultural gateway from the southern part of the city into downtown. And we are piloting this initiative, and our learning will be iterative as we sort of work through all these spaces. We're also looking at a couple of spaces down Hennepin, and just off Hennepin these are the sort of natural cultural corridors that already exist, and we want to help support those first and then move on to other parts of the city. Harmon Place is the historic car showroom neighborhood of Minneapolis, and it has this cluster already available, and it was important for us to think that we're not just peppering throughout the city, but we're actually creating a new community that allows art sectors to talk to each other. Our selection criteria of the artists, we are allowing the artists to select a number of spaces that we've already pre-identified, and then we'll try to match make as best that we can. And then for the applicants themselves, we are prioritizing those organizations that are based in Minneapolis, but any Minnesota resident can apply for this program. We're focusing on individual artists, artist groups and collaboratives, arts organizations, and service organizations focusing on these artistic community building practices of music, dance, theater, visual art, performing art, literary art, media, traditional, digital, public art as well. And we're really not looking to create an opportunity to have offices. We're looking for those artists and arts organizations that really want to galvanize space and create new galvanizing opportunities across the city and come into the center. We also are making sure that they have 3 years of experience. We could have had more, but we thought we really wanted to support emerging and early career artists as well as part of this initiative. We also want to make sure that artists are demonstrating their ability and passion and ambition for this work, and that they would also sort of support ongoing programming that could be daily, weekly, monthly, or at least quarterly. This is to pay for full or partial rent. So we're paying for rent only. We're not paying for other startup costs for these spaces. And there's the opportunity for multiple artists in multiple spaces. So you would have a lot of criteria in your slate of documents, but I just wanted to talk through a little. These are kind of shared by both presentations, but we are taking into account a range of qualities that we are looking at for the selection of the spaces and the selection of the artists that would be part of this initiative. We're also taking in a holistic and human-centered approach to identifying who we will be working with and just really consider the individual needs of the artists who want this opportunity. So we're looking at their ability just to go into and have a contract with these spaces, their ability to do programming and galvanize the community in that respect, the way that they work with community and support inclusive activities. The purpose, so we're really like thinking that they're understanding the purpose of what this whole program is and they want to be an active participant in that. The experience of these applicants, had they had the experience and sort of understanding how to support cultural activation? Is it feasible for what they're trying to do? And for me, what's really important, are they creative? Are they really leaning into creativity, innovation, and community building as part of this program? Togetherness, are they actively wanting to bring communities together and diverse sectors together? And the goals, are they really trying to sort of advocate and support the goals of the city? So that's Vibrant Storefronts. Really quickly, we'll just do cultural
Doing good.
districts. If there's questions, we could take those at the end. Okay. People just love it. So cultural districts, so Vibrant Storefronts is really downtown. Cultural districts is about the rest of the city. So we have 7 designated cultural districts. And again, this was a mayoral priority. In its essence, we are providing a new and focused cultural support infrastructure within the 7 designated cultural districts in Minneapolis. We think it's also of this also as an opportunity to provide a neighborhood, a cohesion strategy for each of the districts through the arts. The overarching purpose of this is to provide public financial support, advocacy, and community building for local artists, creative entrepreneurs, arts advocates, and arts organizations. And to be clear, there are 3 primary prongs to every single district. We have a cultural ambassadors program, a pop-up arts and cultural activation program, and then festivals and cultural spaces. Just so people remember, These are our culture districts: Lowry Avenue, West Broadway, Central Avenue, Cedar Riverside, Franklin Avenue, East Lake Street, and 38th Street. Quick overview of these 3 programs. So the Ambassador Program, this is really about caretaking and tending to the neighborhood. This is the identification of a person or an arts organization or a collective or a neighborhood organization that will pull together all the arts and cultural organizations on a quarterly basis and have a gathering where this group can talk about communication, programming, marketing, and actually be together. Through this program, we'll award one organization up to $15,000 to do all of that work. And this is a 12-month term contract. This potentially could be renewed every year, or we could spread the wealth around to another person and just do it seamlessly. This funding is to pay for the labor of that organizing, the space that is used for the gathering, as well as the gathering expenses. The next part of this is our pop-up and cultural activations program. So this is really about funding ambition in our creative communities in these sectors. What I'm trying to do is really surface new ideas, creativity, innovation, and allow the community to have autonomy around, and the authorship around the creativity that they want to have happen in these districts. But this is smaller amounts of money, so this is up to $5,000 for an idea or a project or an event. We're hoping to do 5+ awards over the course of the next year. And as I said, this is really about surfacing and leaning into new ideas, new creativity, and new events for each of these districts. And then the next bigger award is really about festivals and cultural spaces. So this is to sort of identify existing or new festivals or spaces that, and this is to help surface and amplify and support them in a really deeply meaningful way. But primarily, it's an anti-displacement strategy, which is to say we don't want these cultural spaces to go, or if there was a festival that's gone, this is an opportunity to bring it back. But it's really also it's really meant to support the addition of other local artists to be part of these initiatives, to grow them, to keep them, and to make them more part of the public promise of the cultural districts. These will be 3 to 5. There's possibility for more of these projects to happen, but they're larger amounts because we want larger impact. So the selection criteria is pretty similar to the Vibrant Storefronts, but this is the eligible locations are all the 7 cultural districts. Applicants must be Minnesota residents and in compliance with state laws and be able to work in person throughout the course of this contract. City staff, city contractors, and members of the cities and boards, commissions are not eligible to apply for this. We're looking for artists, nonprofits, art spaces, schools, and neighborhood associations to be actively engaged. And then informal collectives that are not registered with the state, someone from there could be a point of contact to hold a contract for that group. expenses can be spent on everything, but our staff will be working with each of the arts organizations to ensure that the projects are fulfilled, as well as that we're spending our money appropriately. The criteria for it is that people must be our evaluation criteria is that they must be a Minnesota resident. Of course, we're also really focusing on a very targeted part of town, so we want to make sure that the awards are given to people who live and work near one of the 7 cultural districts. They must have a demonstration of impact. We want to be able to stimulate participation, dialogue, provoke thought, and inspire action in these proposed projects. We want to be as inclusive as possible and really highlight various histories, backgrounds, and abilities and perspectives. Applicants must meet all the criteria to satisfy the NOFA that we will proceed with announcing once we have approval. And we're really looking for new ideas, cultural competency, creativity, and innovation within these applications, and that we want to inspire new levels of partnership, collaboration, and community building, and just really extend the quality of life in each of the in each of the cultural districts. Once this gets announced, our next steps are that we'll announce via NOFA. We'll engage with both a call of programs and engage directly in a grassroots campaign with each of the cultural districts, the artists and arts organizations that we've already been connecting with. People have a month to respond, but we'll also accept on a rolling basis. We'll create a panel made up of local members of those districts, as well as arts commissioners and city staff. And then we'll quickly award and move forward towards contracts so we can see the impact of this work. That's it.
Thank you so much, Director Johnson, for that. I know we don't probably have time to discuss. I'll have maybe 20 seconds for Councilmember Cashman to make, but this is great. This is great, and I appreciate your work.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be, authoring the resolution of the Vibrant Storefronts and to be working closely with you on this. I think we can have a longer discussion at the full council meeting next week, but just wanted to move this forward for approval today to make sure that you can get started as soon as possible.
All right, with that motion, I'll have Councilmember Jenkins, who's big in art, too.
Thank you, Chair Osman, and thank you, Director Johnson. I am a little concerned about any Minnesotan can participate in these projects. I don't know, someone from Duluth or Andover or, Stillwater, coming into the city. I'm not sure. So that's a little bit of a concern. The vacant storefront project, I guess it's a little different from Made Here in that there's multiple ways of activation, as mostly Made Here was mostly visual art. But is it kind of the same storefronts, or?
Councilmember.
Or are you familiar with Made Here? I'm sorry.
Sorry, Chair Osman, I'm not familiar with Made Here, but I can imagine what Made Here is about.
It was about vacant storefront activation of, vacant buildings, and artists would come and create visual representations in the storefronts, which I think is still kind of going on a little bit down. It was run by Hennepin Theater Trust, and
So really quickly, thank you for that question. The second part of the question is that I know Hennepin Theater Trust has stopped their public art program, so they no longer have that. And our approach was that putting public art and photos in windows is good, but it's more of a Band-Aid, in our opinion. So we wanted to actually galvanize and activate our spaces and help address and solve the space issue. So some of the ideas that we've been socializing, just to give an example of the kind of proposals we're hoping to receive, is that, we've been in conversation with Twin Cities Fashion Week to say, can we create a fashion incubator? And we've been talking to theater organizations, can we have a theater rehearsal residency lab? Can we talk to little artistic-driven galleries within Minneapolis and say, if you have an artist that you want to work with, your artist can build their work downtown? We're talking to puppet makers to say, can there be a new puppet making lab downtown? But to do it in a cluster, so that we have the opportunity to just go from store to store to store and see, look at the vibrancy that we're happening. So our position on our our interpretation of vibrant storefronts is really activating space and making it an activation coming through the form of artisan bodies being in time and space, but also solving the space crisis issue for how art is made in our city. We're also really tracking sort of the end of the great age of philanthropy in our city, and this is a way for us to help support going from charity to industry for our creatives in our community, and also anchors the ability for artists to remain in downtown as opposed to be displaced. So our take on it is just a little bit different, and not just about art and windows. I certainly hope that that happens.
And just to be clear, the art in windows was more so to encourage people to come and rent the space. I mean, it wasn't just putting art in windows. It was this theory of we got these vacant spaces that are still vacant. I mean, and we need to fill them. And that was kind of the impotence.
We're hoping that as we pilot this, that we can grow it over time. In terms of the question about being a Minnesota resident, I do believe that is our legal stance that we have for the program that we've been told through our attorney's office that anybody can apply, but we're going to prioritize our arts and organizations specifically within the districts and within Minneapolis.
All right, thank you so much, Director, for that wonderful presentation. With Councilmember Cashman's motion to approve this item, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, and the motion is approved. Seeing no further business before us with no objection, I will declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you so much.